Okay, and then share my screen. All right. Hopefully people can jump back in. How would I get notified? All right. Hi everyone on the live. Okay, so I'm gonna get it started. Um, For those who don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Wilize Maliambo. I am a holistic wellness, African wellness coach. So what does that mean, right? It literally means that I help people develop a healthier relationship with themselves, whether it be mind, body, and soul. And these webinars, I want to focus on the body. Okay. So I have a company called Daily Wellness. We are the first African wellness digital platform that incorporates both conventional and holistic alternative care to help our clients reach their goal. Right? We offer online courses like these, e-store wellness programs, the retreats, and so forth. All right. And Alicia, if there's any question that comes up during this webinar, please feel free to ask. Okay. Because I can't really see those on the live, but you get the privilege of unmuting yourself whenever you have a question, okay? So, what is the gut, right? So there's so many aspects of the gut, right? So we have the biological component that most of us know, which is our body, right? The system that helps us process food. But there's also saying like intuition and, follow your gut and stuff like that, right? So I want to start with a little story time just to open up the course. So there was this woman, right? Actually, there was this man who was renting a room in his home. And he put out a post, right? And he went through a list of tenants, a whole bunch of tenants, until he fell into this one woman, very pretty woman, that he, after like interview processing and all that stuff, he decided, hey, she seems like a great fit for my room. Okay, it was like I think it was like a 2-bedroom. So she went ahead and did the application, started living in the apartment, and I think after like 3 days or something like that, she told the guy, like, hey, I don't feel comfortable. Like, I can't do this, right? I can't live in here. And he was obviously kind of like confused because it was like he went through a whole bunch of people. Went through the interview process. He did everything that he could and then got someone. And now she's like, I can't do this. And then he was like, usually the usual response would be someone would get upset, right? I know I would get upset if I did all this work and then the person actually falls off, right? But something told him, like, it's okay, just let her go. So he was like, okay, no problem. Like, I'll give you back your deposit. I'll give you back what I owe you. And then I'll go ahead and put another, what's the word? Like commercial in like newspaper or whatever for another tenant. Hi everyone on the live. Thank you for joining in. And then she was baffled by it because she was like, I don't understand. That's not the usual reaction that someone has when they invested so much time in finding someone, right? And then the person like bails out and then they're like, it's cool, I'll pay you back or whatever. So I think a day after she came back and she was like, actually, I would like to stay. And then similarly, he had a response like, okay, that's fine. And she had another response like, that's not the usual response that people have. Like, I'm making you do all of this work and then you're just going with the flow. But he asked her this. He was like, I want to know why made you not want to stay, right? You already put in your deposit, you already put the work that you wanted to do, and then now you're changing your mind. And she was like, I just had a gut feeling. I just had a gut feeling that this place wasn't for me. Honestly, I had a gut feeling that you were a serial killer, right? He had a little he had a little weird look, but she was like, I had a feeling that maybe you were a serial killer and that this wasn't going to go well. So the guy asked her, we hear often follow your gut, but when do we really know if our gut is telling us the truth or if it's fear, right? When do we really know? And I'm just going to leave this question for you guys because I know we're talking about the nutrition aspect of guts, but there's a lot even spiritually that goes into the gut, right? For instance, is the place of the solar plexus where you get your instance of self-esteem and confidence in the world, right? It is in your gut. So that was just to open up the floor. Now we're gonna talk about what is the gut. So we talked about like spiritual realm. It is the house of intuition. It is also known as the second brain. That's not something that's like cliche. It actually is known as the second brain because it is the only area in the body that has as much neurons, which if you don't know, the neurons are the cells of the brain, right? In the body. So the gut has about, I believe, 500 million neurons, right? And it releases, so the way in which those brain cells talk is through these chemicals called neurotransmitters. So the gut also releases a lot of neurotransmitters and it talks to each other. It has a direct connection with your brain, which oftentimes people go through depression. As a nutritionist, when someone comes to me and they have like diagnosis of depression, oftentimes we want to look into the gut to see what's going on in there. Also relating to vitamin deficiency, oftentimes vitamin D, right? But the gut is so important because it has a direct pathway connection with your brain, and it has as much cells as the brain, like as much brain cells in that area, okay? But biologically, it is part of the digestive system. Alicia, do you have any questions? I'm like talking 500 miles per hour.
No, you're great.
All right. Cause I'm timing. Hi, everybody on the live. What's up? Okay. All right, so I want to cover the digestive system a little bit because a lot of what I try to show is that the body is never one thing standing alone, right? Is a whole bunch of systems working together to allow us to survive. It's never just the heart or just the lung, it's the whole system. So when people talk about the gut, they usually focus on the small intestine, which we will get to in a little bit, which is the part of the digestive system that helps us absorb our food, our nutrients, life, or water, right? But food can't get absorbed if it doesn't go through the mouth first, if it doesn't go through the stomach, right? And what we don't need, like the toxins that we don't need anymore, can get excreted if we don't have the colon. So it's the whole system. Every time you want to think about the body, you want to think about it in a way as a system, right? So let's get into the digestive system. I talked about it a little bit. What it really is, it's a long tube that starts with your mouth and ends with your anus, where foods go through. So things from the outside. So we think about food because that's usually what it does. It helps to break down the food, helps to absorb the nutrient and so forth. But you also have other things like herbs, right? Like medicine, actual medicine, right? Also goes through your gut, right? And other substances from the outside. So it's the only one of the only tube that is open in the body to the outside, right? And it's made of the mouth. So throughout this mini series, I'm going to touch on each of these organs individually and how to take care of them. But this is just the introduction with a little overview. So the mouth has the tongue, has the salivary gland. Usually what the mouth does is it just get to chew your food so that it becomes kind of like a compost or something mashed up that the body can use to absorb the nutrients that it needs. Then it has the stomach, right? I skipped, there's a trachea right here, right? Which is a passageway. But then after that, you have the stomach, which is another main organ of the digestive system. So the stomach, next week, we're going to talk about the mouth and the stomach, but what it does, it has a lot of acids, which is super important. And it's the start of your protein digestion. It starts in your stomach. So carbs actually start in the mouth, and then as it goes down, protein get digested, start the digestion in the stomach. So because of that, when you think of protein, right, people think of meat. You can have different type of protein, but usually we think about meat, right? And you think about how strong meat is, right? So what would be the best way to dissolve that acid, right? So the stomach is made of a lot of acid. That acid is also very important later on because it releases some substances that helps you absorb certain vitamin, like vitamin B12. And so I talk about the acid in the stomach because usually when people have issues with their stomach, it's usually either they have too much acid, right? So you have acid reflux, or they have too little acid. And we'll talk about it next week, but certain things like certain medications, certain practices that people do can affect the acid in the stomach, right? So then we have the gut, which is what everybody is so happy about, what it has been so famous, right? The gut after the stomach is the part of your body that absorbs nutrients. Okay, so the stomach and the mouth kind of already did the work of digestion. The beginning of the gut is going to have other chemicals to help you digest some more, but the major part of the gut is to absorb nutrients. And then you have your colon. Now I'm going to say something about the colon later on, but the main thing that the colon do, right, this is what's closer to your anus, is it absorbs water and it releases toxin. Okay, so these are the organ of the digestive system. And then lastly, you have the accessory organs. So these are organs that are not necessarily part of the digestive system, but they're super important, like your pancreas, your gallbladder, and your liver, right? They release chemicals that is going to help you absorb your food. So for instance, the gallbladder releases chemicals that helps you absorb fat. So people who have gallbladder surgery, right? They have a hard time digesting fats. And one main thing about fat is a lot of the vitamins, the very important vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, all of these amazing vitamins are fat-based. So if you have fat absorption issues, you're going to have an issue absorbing these vitamins, okay? And then your liver, honestly, the liver is my favorite. It is my favorite organ because it's like the major house of detoxification. Because the digestive system is this long tube that is open to the outside world, of course, you're going to have a lot of toxins, right? And so the liver, what it does, it is make sure that before the food gets into your blood, right, it passes through the liver, and the liver is going to filter it to make sure no toxins get into your blood. Because once something is in your blood, it has access to your vital organs. And some of these organs, like your heart or your lungs, once they're damaged, there's no going back, okay? So next slide. So what is the gut? This is how the gut actually looks. And I know people on the live, they can't see the slide, but this is how the gut looks, okay? It is the organ that is responsible for the assimilation of food and liquids, for the absorption of food and liquids, okay? So I talked about the first part of the gut releases some digestive juices, usually from the pancreas, usually from all these other organs, to help you digest your food, okay? And the middle part has these, we call them villi. They're like finger-like structures, right? And that's how your food get absorbed with these finger-like straws, right? They just go through them and then they go into the portal that takes them to the liver, okay? And then in the bottom part, it changes leftover food that cannot be absorbed by your body into waste before that waste goes into the colon. Okay, so do you have any questions about the guts? No. Do you guys have any questions? No? You good? Okay. Um, So why is the gut important? Why I posted this question is, of course, everything that you see on your body comes from the food that you eat. And this is not me trying to be poetic. Sometimes I think it's hard for people to even make that connection because, for instance, your hair, right, is protein. Everything that you see is part of something that you ate. And so the gut is important because people who have gut issues, which we'll see in the next slide, have difficulty absorbing the nutrients that they need in order to operate optimally or even survive, right? Some conditions completely destroy these villi. And once these are destroyed, it's very hard to absorb any food at all. Okay, so overview of gut disease. So most of the digestive system conditions are related to the gut, right? So you'll have some of the colon, right? Colon cancer is actually very common, right? And that's something we'll talk about when we talk about the colon peptide ulcer, right? That's in the stomach. But most of the majority of diseases that happen with the digestive system are related to the gut. So you have IBS, inflammatory bowel syndrome, IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, celiac disease. All food allergies are related to gut health. Leaky gut, which is something that has become very popular because it's very common, and it's usually an aftermath of some type of food sensitivity. And any nutrients deficiency, right? Because we talked about how the gut absorbs all of the nutrients. So if it's not working properly, you're going to have some type of deficiency, right? And I talked previously about the villi. For instance, someone who has celiac disease or an allergy, 80% of those villi get destroyed. That is usually why they have the symptoms of that condition, right? So they'll have rashes because sometimes when these get destroyed, the actual food, instead of being absorbed in little portions, can go into your bloodstream. That's actually what leaky gut is. So they'll get symptoms because these villi are completely destroyed. Okay. All right, I'm gonna end with the common myth about the gut. So a lot of people are talking about microbiome and digestive bacteria, right? It became very popular, very important, right? Because they found recently that about 90% of autoimmune diseases are related to the imbalance of microbiome, right? And a lot of people somehow associate the microbiome with the gut. The microbiome is actually, your gut shouldn't have bacteria, all right? Well, okay, it has a little bit of bacteria, but it's not the house where bacteria are. Hi, everybody. This is on time. Hi, everybody on the live, right? The microbiome actually is housed in the colon, okay? So it's housed in this part, the bigger part. So your gut is the small intestine. Your large intestine is the house of microbiome, of bacteria, right? What happens sometimes is if your diet is not balanced, or if your small intestine is having issues, some of these bacteria can travel to the gut, right? And it causes something that is called SIBO. Don't know if anybody here has ever heard of SIBO, but usually symptoms are you have a lot of gas. You're gassy all the time because the bacteria who makes the gas is not where it's supposed to be. It's free, girl. Come on in. It's free. It's a free webinar. Okay, because a lot of the bacteria are not where it's supposed to be. So some of the symptoms are SIBO, like I said, a lot of gas. You have a hard time digesting raw greens, right? So people who eat salads and tend to be bloated, right? And usually fiber sometimes can be difficult for everyone to digest, especially if you don't have enough water. But when you have SIBO, even a little bit of raw greens can cause a lot of gas, right? These are the typical symptoms of someone who has their healthy bacteria or bacteria in general not in the right spot. And when we talk about the colon, I think 2 weeks from now, we'll talk about how to maintain the microbiome. We'll talk about the type of bacteria that you find and what the balance is that you want to have in in your intestine. Any question? No? Okay, so why is this important? And this is the last section of this mini course. Okay. So first, why I wanted to talk about the digestive system as a whole, right? I think I might have heard of that. How much is the webinar? I was having a hard time. Yeah. Balance your gut. So, Young Jock has what is the best way to balance your gut biome? So this webinar right now is an introduction. This is a series of, I believe, runs for 4 weeks, right? So next Thursday we'll be here, and each Thursday I'm going to dedicate some time to each of the organ that we just talked about today. This is just an overview because I'm really into the business of telling people that you can't just focus on one part of the body because it all works together. If you could see the slide, you will see that the digestive system is a long tube, and usually when one part doesn't work properly, it affects other part, right? So for instance, the microbiome, the colon not being balanced is affecting your gut. That is why it causes SIBO, right? And so this is an overview, and throughout the next few weeks, I'm gonna focus on each of the organs and explain what you can do to keep them healthy. But to wrap it up, that question was right on time because my whole thing is for people to understand the body works as a whole, right? So you can't just hyper focus on one thing, which I think sometimes conventional medicine does. It is where they miss the mark because they focus on one thing when one thing is actually an aftermath of something else that's going on over there. Like, fun fact, right? Oftentimes when people have issues with their reproductive organs or system, there's a lot of fibroids going on. There's a lot of just a lot of like cysts and stuff going on. It's usually somewhere else in the body is not being balanced. And the body is really adamant about protecting vital organs, right? So your reproductive health, even though it's important to us, it's not vital. You don't need your reproductive health to survive, right? But you need your heart, or you need your liver, or you need your lungs. And your body will rather sacrifice your reproductive health than your liver. Right. So you want to start, like, one big thing about these webinars, I want people to start thinking like nutritionists, like have an idea of how one thing in their body might impact the other. So the gut is part of the digestive system. It needs the support of all the other organs to work properly. What I just said. It is called a second brain because it has a direct access to our brain and is one of the organ that has one of the most neurons, right, brain cells in the area. Okay, it provides our body the tools that it needs to survive. What I mean by that is without the nutrients that we absorb from the gut, we cannot survive. I don't like, this is why I started with the digestive system. It's because without your digestive system working properly, it's going to be very hard for you to be healthy. Like I mentioned earlier, usually 90% of autoimmune diseases are related to gut microbiome. 80-ish% of depression is related to imbalances in your gut, right? And you see a lot of people who have depression also have low vitamin D. Their body is having a hard time absorbing that. What else? Heart disease, same thing. You see people who have heart disease have deficiencies in certain vitamins and certain minerals that come from the gut, like vitamin D is another one, but you have potassium, right? So all of these work together, and throughout the rest of the series, we're gonna go more in depth with the different systems. Any questions before I close this off? What time is it? Okay, we have like five-ish minutes. All right, so this is it for the gut microbiome. If you have any questions, this is the time, like any specific questions. I know people on the live were writing certain things. Alicia, same thing. If you have a question, please feel free to ask. This is being recorded. It will be uploaded on the YouTube. And like I said, the next few weeks, I'm going to take each of the organs. I think the next one is the mouth and the stomach and explain how to keep those healthy, right? Really important for people who struggle with like maybe bad breath or they don't understand what to do. I might provide some recommendation of like healthy bacteria for your oral hygiene that have been proven to work properly. So all of these things I'm going to talk about in the next 2 weeks. I think next week is the mouth and the stomach, and the following week is the gut and the colon. We have a session. What is one book you will recommend to start learning about holistic health, starting with diet? Oh my. You know what? I might DM you because I don't have something on top of my head right now. But there's so many books. I wish you could just see like the corner. I have a little library right there, and it's only about holistic and wellness books. Um, but I will say books are great, right? But the best way to learn is by starting to pay attention to your body, right? Because the thing with nutrition that confuses a lot of people is that you'll have one study that is going to say, or this food is good for you, and another study that's going to say, no, this food is good for you. And the thing is, the food is only good depending on the body that eats it, right? So if you're someone that has issues with diabetes or insulin, certain things that have sugar, right? Because your body can't control sugar properly, you're going to have a hard time digesting. We talked about, for instance, an imbalance in your bacteria, in your microbiome, right? So if you're eating fibrous, high fiber foods when your bacteria is not really balanced, when you have bad bacteria in there, the fiber is feeding the bad bacteria, so it's giving you a hard time, right? So you want to start with your own body. You want to start by taking maybe a journal and writing down the things that you eat and how it affects your body. And that way it'll give you an idea of what your body like and doesn't like. But I will DM you some of the books that I think are my favorite. But yeah, thank you for your question. All right, we're almost
Oh,
at
I had
time.
a question.
Go ahead.
One thing that I'm really bad about is eating late.
Mhm.
Can you talk about like how what's going on in the gut when we eat like and then go to bed right away?
Um, what goes on in the gut? So are you asking like what is the process of eating the food late, or is there a specific effect that it has on your body? Because whenever you eat,
Yeah, like what is the effect that it has on your body when you eat late?
so the body doesn't have like on a certain, this might turn off in 5 minutes. So if you want to
Okay.
jump on the live,
Okay.
I'll just enter it and then you can see on the live. But the body doesn't have like, oh, this time or that time, right? Certain hormones are released at certain period of time. So when you wake
Mm,
up, you have like cortisol. So cortisol wakes you up and everything is awakened. When you're trying to go to sleep, you have melatonin and everything tries to calm down, right? But
mm-hmm.
your digestive system is made to do what it's going to do, no matter the time of the day. It's not like you're eating at a certain time, it's going to stop working, right? However, sleeping time is usually the time when your body like recovers from all like because we experience toxins every day, right? Not even, you have people talk about toxins in I don't know, in the clothes we wear or whatever, man-made toxins, but there are also natural toxins that we naturally experience every day, right? And when you sleep, that's the time when your body is able to recover from that trauma, right? If you're eating too late, you're going to have your body, your digestive system, which I should say is one of the organs that work the most in your body, doing all of that work while your body's trying to heal itself, right? So that's why people say it's not recommended. It's not like you're not going to digest your food. Your body's still going to do what it needs to do, but maybe you might have issues sleeping better,
Mm,
or maybe you might have issues being tired when you wake up, right? Because you didn't fully.
mm,
So I personally don't recommend eating too late, right? Especially for people who have like acid reflux and stuff like that, because it's just not beneficial. But it doesn't mean that your body won't still do the job that it's supposed to do. Hope that was helpful. That was a good question. Oh, not Aviella. Hey, girl. Well, we're closing this out. Before I close out, you guys know I love meditation. So I would love for us to just close our eyes for 2 minutes, right? And take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. And one more time, deep through our nose and out through our mouth. Right? As we getting wind down for the rest of our day, right? We want to start breathing. It's another way to calm our body, to calm ourselves, right? And I want to thank everybody that joined this live, everybody or Alicia for joining the webinar. We'll be here every Thursday. Hopefully, we'll have more time to meditate together, balance this out a little better. But my hope is that you guys take this information and start learning how to take better care of your mind, your body, and your soul. Okay. So I think we have 6 more minutes. So let's do 2 more or 3 more deep breaths. Okay. So close your eyes again. Deep inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Another deep inhale through your nose and exhale to your mouth. So I don't know about you guys, but I had a very intense day today. I love doing this, so I still got on the live. But I'm hoping if you had a very intense day today, that you keep practicing the deep breaths, okay? And that you reset yourself because tomorrow is another day, okay? So thank you everyone for joining in. You can slowly open your eyes back up. Thank you again. Thank you, girl. If you have any question, please feel free to DM me. Feel free to DM me any questions that I had about today. This is going to go up on the YouTube. You'll have access to it. And if any question comes afterwards, feel free to reach out to me. All right. All right, girls. So it's
All
nice to
right.
see you.
Good to see you.
I
Yes,
know. Thank you.
of course.
Okay, bye.
Appreciate it. Bye.